Well, this one kind of hit home hard. The Father is brought to us by director Florian Zeller and stars Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, Imogen Poots, and Rufus Swell. We follow Anthony, played by Anthony Hopkins, the aging father of Olivia Colman's Anne. Unfortunately, Anthony is well into having either Alzheimer's or dementia. I don't think it ever really says exactly which one, but he's clearly having lots of memory issues. And Anne is having to figure out what to do with her father, seeing as how he will not accept any help from anyone. He's convinced nothing's wrong, it's everybody else. He's fine. However, this clearly isn't the case, and as the story goes on, we see how Anthony starts to realize this, how it starts to sink in that his world is changing. He's losing his grasp on reality. So now we are faced with a heartbreaking story of a man who is slowly, literally losing his mind, and the daughter who is left there to care for him. I heard about The Father late last year when it came out, but I hadn't had an opportunity to see it until now. Of course, it got a lot more buzz when Anthony Hopkins won the Best Actor award at the Academy Awards this year. Now, admittedly, I say that I hadn't had an opportunity to see the movie until now, and that's not entirely true. I could have seen it before now, but I was a bit hesitant. And the reason, honestly, is because I do personally have experience with this type of condition. I know what it's like to have a loved one go through this and be there and watch it happen slowly over time. It's really tough. And honestly, I just wasn't in a big rush to go out and see a realistic depiction of this. Now, that being said, I did finally watch the movie, and I gotta say, I'm really happy that I did. I think it goes without saying, with all the award season buzz this movie was getting and all the positive things everybody said about it, this is a really good movie. I never really doubted that going into it. I figured this was gonna be a really good movie. I mean, with everybody involved and everything I'd heard about it, I was pretty sure this wasn't gonna be like a shitfest or anything. And it's not. This is an absolutely fantastic movie. But as I said, just based on my personal experiences, I wasn't sure I was ready to dive into that. And this movie is a very realistic depiction of what this type of situation can be like. And it's not always a nice thing to see. Actually, the majority of the time, it's not. This movie is pretty rough in spots, especially if you have any history with this type of illness with like a family member or something. But this movie did something that I wasn't expecting, and as I said a moment ago, I am really happy that I did finally sit down and watch it. This movie does a lot of things right, but the thing it gets the most right, the thing that makes it really, in my opinion, so important, is that it shows this whole situation from the viewpoint of the person who is suffering through this illness. We do get to see it from Anthony's daughter Anna's perspective as well, but the vast majority of this movie is told from Anthony's perspective. And the way that the filmmakers were able to convey to us, the viewers, the state of mind he was in and how his reality was just really twisted because of this disease, it was an absolute triumph, if you will. That seems kind of grand and overused, but I gotta say, the way that they put you in that mind space, the way that this movie makes you understand how someone who's going through this feels, was just, it was fucking amazing. This is something that I think all people should watch, but especially if you've ever had to go through something like this, if you've ever had a family member go through this and you've been there with them. Because let's be real, these types of situations, they're not quick. They take a long time. This stuff goes on for years at times, and it can at times be very frustrating. I mean, you're dealing with someone who doesn't remember things from moment to moment, and we're humans. Sometimes we get frustrated with these situations. When people's minds are deteriorating, when they're not sure of the reality around them, but they know something's wrong, they start to get frustrated and sometimes very belligerent about pretty much everything. And it's difficult for them to keep everything in order that's around them. And while, yeah, from our perspective, the people that are trying to help, it can be very frustrating at times. But I thought it was wonderful how this movie showed it from the other side. It really put stuff into perspective for you. Yeah, if you've ever been through this with someone, then you know this, but to see it the way that they did it here, it's amazing. Zeller's direction here was absolutely wonderful. A lot of the times throughout the movie, you don't know when it is and what all's going on. You don't even fully know where our characters are sometimes, or even who they are. Through subtle changes in the environment, and at times even switching out characters with different actors, he really did a fantastic job of putting us, the viewer, in the mindset of Anthony Hopkins' Anthony. You feel like at times you're kind of losing your mind. You don't fully understand what's going on, and that is deliberate. You're supposed to, because you're supposed to be seeing this through his eyes. This is how he feels. Yes, this environment is familiar, but there's something different about it. This person, I feel like I know them, but there's something a little different about you. I don't fully know you. This situation is somewhat familiar, but there's just something off. That was the thing about this movie that honestly, the only way I can say it is that I'm grateful that they actually did. I am so happy that I got to watch this movie and see it from that perspective. Of course, with any movie like this, it all hinges on the performances, and man, this is like some masterclass acting here. Anthony Hopkins, per usual, is fantastic, but man, he went above and beyond here. I think we can all agree that Anthony Hopkins is an amazing actor. You can put Anthony Hopkins in a terrible movie and he'll still be great. But here, he just absolutely outdoes himself. I'm gonna go on record and say that that Academy Award was 100% deserved. What he does here doesn't even seem like acting. This seems like real life. I believe that his character was actually going through this. Now, I know everybody's been talking about Anthony Hopkins and the fantastic job he did, and he absolutely did, as I said. However, what we're not hearing about is the absolutely wonderful performance by Olivia Colman. She is the other part to this puzzle. She is the daughter that desperately wants to help her father and is the one that's going through all of this on the other side. She is the one that I could relate to. I've been there. I've been in her shoes. It's tough, man. And she did an absolutely stellar job. There were parts of this movie where I saw her character reacting to things that were happening, and I was like, I know, man. I know how you feel. I have been there. Get this woman an Oscar too, because she was amazing. And that goes for pretty much everybody in the movie. Now, this was based on a play, so there's not really a whole lot of people here, and most of the movie is based on one single location, or at least versions of that one single location. Now, while this is a very good story, it is a very difficult story. This is a tough movie to watch in a lot of parts. As I said, it doesn't seem like you're watching actors playing parts. It seems like you're watching real people go through this extremely traumatic, terrible situation. It's not all terrible, but let's be honest, you're watching a movie about a person's mind that is slowly withering away. To say that there are some parts that are going to be really tough to get through is quite the understatement. Now, I can't speak to how this will affect someone who's never been through a situation like this or doesn't know about how these kind of things go. I can only speak from my own experiences, and having gone through a similar situation, I can say it was tremendously affecting to me. I don't really want to say much more about this movie because I don't want to ruin the experience for you. I do have tons more I can say about it, especially the technique that they used to shoot this movie and the way that it just puts you in that mindset. That is the absolute greatest thing that this movie did. It absolutely allows you to see the situation through a person's eyes who is going through this. And while I would never wish anyone to have to go through something like this, I do think everyone should see this movie so that they can fully understand how painful and tough this type of situation can be. Because at the end of the day, it's hard for everyone. The person that's going through it and how they know that their mind is slowly going away, and their loved ones who are sitting there powerless, watching it happen, knowing that there's absolutely nothing that they can do. This is a beautiful movie with fantastic performances all around, especially from our two leads. There aren't too many movies out there that I say that people should have to watch, that should be mandatory viewing, but The Father is absolutely one of those. It is absolutely one of the best movies I've seen in quite some time, and it is also a unicorn. This movie's very affecting. That's kind of the only word that comes to mind when I try and think about it. So if you got it in you to watch this one night, especially if you've been through a similar situation, check out The Father, and I guarantee you will never forget this movie. So there it is, guys, my review of The Father. If you enjoyed, want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a thumbs up. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, you know the rest.
Everything is fine.
I think she tries to do the best she can for you, Anthony.
Everything will be all right. I promise you.